Hello, this is Agnes Berenguer de Jarona, and I'm here for another episode of Embroidery in the SCA period. We are continuing on with our stitches that would have been found in the medieval period. This next stitch is one that I'm actually going to be doing in hand. I know I don't normally do things in hand, but I've got a project I'm working on. It's a bag, and I'm using blanket stitch in order to finish the project. Now, depending on who you talk to, some people say, well, blanket stitch and buttonhole stitch are not the same, but they really are. They're you know, though some variants of, they're both considered variants of buttonhole stitch. Blanket stitch and buttonhole stitch are fairly interchangeable. Just, it basically is a matter of, are you putting your stitches next to each other? Are you putting them out a little bit? What are you doing with them? Buttonhole, you see buttonhole as far back as at least the 12th century, probably even sooner than the 12th century. But I have, I know that I have buttonhole. And buttonhole variants are seen throughout are definitely seen throughout, and throughout the 16th century, they start being used. In the late 15th, early 16th century, they start being used for your lace stitches. So when and if I get into showing how to do the lace stitches, which are I may do for this series, the lace stitches use a lot of buttonhole or variants of buttonhole. So let's get started. I have this particular project is a bag. I'm using essentially what is a blanket stitch, but it's kind of the same stitch as Mary Corbett and some of the other top embroidery teachers will tell you. They are the same stitch. The buttonhole and the main way you do them is the same. Okay, so I'm going to start this. I've already been working on this one, so I'm going to be starting from where I started the working on it. Okay, I'm going to move the camera down once I get my little away waist knot taken care of. I'm going to move the camera down, so hopefully you can see what I'm doing. Okay, I've been edging the top of this, so we're going to go through, and I'm going to, well, let's put it this side. I always have to remember how I'm doing this. Okay, and what I'm going to do, when you're in the middle of stitching, you definitely want to bring it up. Now, if I was starting, I might go forward. See, this is where I finished it, and I'll show you finishing in a bit. But when you get to the point where you want to start, and actually I want to kind of bring this in between the fabric and then bring it up here next to the last stitch. Okay, and what makes you have kind of that little rope there, you see the little rope, that's what you're trying to create. Now if you put this closer, the rope's going to be more like little knots next to each other. Okay, so I'm going to bring this up. Well, it'll be fine, I guess. It'll be close enough. It must have just popped out of the, and that could be because this is like really, I don't know why it's doing this, but that's okay. I had it between the two pieces of fabric, but the two pieces of fabric may not have been secured as well as they should have been. Okay, so what we're gonna do, that's my daughter. Anyways, she's a teenager. Okay, our main thing we want to do is go down and come back up, and I can stitch this, but you want to make sure, and when I say I'm going down, okay, here's where I'm going in. Okay, I went in, I am now coming out here. Okay, but I want to use this loop to catch the thread. okay? But I can do that in kind of a one, wow, this one's really ticking me off here. That's okay. Once I get it loaded, I can, actually what I'm going to do now, I've got it pretty much loaded. I'm going to snip here because it seems that when I finished it off, I did not keep it between the threads. So, oh well. There we go. It should be okay. Alrighty, there we go. And I can also take away this away waste knot, and hopefully we'll get rid of these nasty threads. Very carefully snipping away the nasty threads. Sometimes they like to just pop through, and when you get those nasty threads popping through, you just trim them after you've done your stitching, and trying not to deal wrongly with your stitching. So one of the easy ways to do this is, bring your loop forward, okay? So that all you have to do is you stick it straight in, bring it up, okay? And it's already going to come through, okay? Some people, when they're doing this stitch, they go in and they bring it up and then they loop the thread around, okay? They loop the thread around and they come. But if you are, the fastest way, I think, is to loop it on your hand, go in, so we're going in, straight in, because you want that nice line. We're going in and it automatically puts it where we want it. Okay, so in and up. And as I always said, it's not teeny weeny, it's consistency. So I'm doing roughly about 1/8 of an inch. I'm trying for about 1/8 of an inch between stitches, okay? Between the long arm of the stitch. That makes a nice edging for this, okay? If I was doing a buttonhole, I would probably have them right next to each other. And if I was doing maybe a bigger blanket, I might make them a little heftier by making them like a quarter of a stitch. So one more time, keeping it around my hand, making sure it doesn't get all wonky and everything. I'm going to just go in, come through, and up. Now, what I'm going to do is, I'll be right back. I'm going to do one of the magics of video is I can do the rest of this and just put them together in a few moments. So hold on. Alrighty, so I have gone through and thrown some more stitches in. I'm getting down to the end of my thread, so I wanted to show you how to end this. Oh, I boo-booed that stitch, didn't I? Oh well. Well, I can do this. If I want it to look relatively consistent, I have to bring it out, do my little fold over the needle, or the eye of the needle, and then pull it through using my thumb and forefinger as ways to do it. I have pull that up. I'll have to fix that in a bit. Once I've finished the stitching on this, and I'm doing, using my finger to hold the loop for myself. I think I'm getting to a point where I've just used, each of these stitches is probably using about 3/4 to a full inch. Okay, so we're going to finish this stitch. We are here, our loop is caught. We're going to come right next to it. Since I have 2 layers, you don't have to do this if you don't have 2 layers. If you're only working 1 layer, you can do it a different way. I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to stitch right there, like within inches, or within like the teeniest, tiniest point that I can still get a little bit of fabric on, okay? And then bring that up, all right? There we go. I've just finished it, and then I'll just restart by finding my yarn This one I'm using yarn, wool yarn. Nice soft woolly yarn. It's a nice soft woolly yarn. But you don't have to use wool to do blanket stitch. You can use silk and you can use cotton, and you know, use what you want when you're dealing with this. I mean, rule number one of the way Agnes sees it, if it's not going in a competition, see, there it is. Boop. And let's see if I can do it. Boop. And pull it through. Voila. Okay. Do my little boop, boop, and boop. And voila. When I move on to Renaissance stitches, which isn't going to be today, we'll probably, I'll probably start talking about how buttonhole can be used, and making sure I didn't go through the fabric, but went in between the fabric. There's my knot, right? Pulled it through, okay. And I've basically started it where I ended it, okay? And again, you have your loop, throw it through, and we are back on track. And you can do a lot of this, and this is going to lock down the front of the thread, okay? It's going to lock that, oh, there it is. It's going to lock this down. So I could actually start cutting this out now. Now, when you're looking at this and you're saying, well, I see like little bits of thread hanging out here. What are you going to do with those? That's why you want a nice pair of choppy choppies. You're just going to carefully, because you don't want to like cut the thread you've been stitching with, or then you have to start over again. There we go. We're going to choppy that off. Chop that off. You know, come over here, chop this one off. There we go, good. And this, ooh, I've got a thread I've got to deal with here. Oh no, see, this is where you get in problems. So I guess I'm going to have to fix that. And which the basic way of fixing it is pretty much pull out some, okay? Pull out some. I'm going to take this off of its needle. I'm going to pull it off. I've had a boo-boo, major boo-boo attack. Okay, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to bring it under and through to here, okay? So that one I'll be restitching this area. But I think what I may end up doing though is, yeah, I may have to, and I'm going to pull this one out, and someday, you know, sometimes you just have to fiddle with it, as it were. It got cut. Actually, I think this was a spot that I had earlier had some, I trimmed the thread because it had gotten whooshy. Okay, there we go. So I'll have to restitch this area, okay? But, you know, hey, this is a good learning opportunity for folks to find out, what do you do when things get, you know, you mess up? Well, you just start and stop it. You know, you may have to redo a whole section or a little bit of a section, but you can usually just start and stop it and then trim it when you're done. Okay, so if anybody has questions, you know, just check the comments. I do check the comments every so often on the YouTube video, or yeah, if you are watching this from Facebook, you may want to just go to you can go to Facebook and deal with it there. So anyways, thank you for watching today, and I hope you all have a good day, and just keep stitching, okay? Talk to you later. Bye.